Hello, everybody. Ketchy1383 with Ketchy Gaming, bringing you another episode of the Epic Store Weekly Free Game. This week's game is Infinifactory, developed by Zachtronics, Zachary Barth, released for Windows, PlayStation 4, Linux, Mac OS, and Classic OS. Okay. It is a single player puzzle simulator indie game. So it was released back in January 19th, 2015. I wasn't ready to record right off the bat, but it starts off right off the bat with you being abducted and then just walking down this hall doing a basic tutorial on what to do. And it starts off pretty simple. These are the basic mechanics: building blocks, taking blocks away, just making sure you can handle the very, very basics of the game. But it gets harder pretty fast. So you go to this room with a bunch of aliens in it, and then they send you to your own room where you get kibble bits to eat. And you can eat them if you want. I don't know if there's any real point to it, but I did anyways. And then you get to select from a series of missions. And the first set of missions are just basically more tutorial, sort of showing you how intricate this game can actually be in terms of its puzzle mechanics. So for a bit of an example, the very first puzzle you have to put together, you have 3 different kinds of boxes, and you have to put them to the respective, I guess, receptacle, or where they're going to go, and you have to lay out a path for them, and you get scored on various, I guess, I don't know how to put it, metrics, like how many parts you use to put it together, stuff like that, how fast it gets done. And the first time I did it, I admittedly was super tired. I had to get up early in the morning and go visit my mom because something terrible happened. Nothing to her, but it was just not unpleasant, and I was sort of just brain dead at this point. So I used way more blocks than I needed to, and I went back later on and fixed it. But it gets more complicated as you progress. So here you can see my revised attempt at getting all those blocks in the right place with using fewer blocks. And we can watch the results here in just a second. There we go. Did much better. I'm not entirely sure what all these metrics are, or even if I improved. I'm going to go with yes, or maybe I just went with a configuration closely resembling that of other people. I'm not entirely sure. So, in terms of overall looks, it's actually not that bad. Again, it's an indie game, and it's also back from a generation ago in terms of consoles. And it's pretty impressive for an indie game, mind you that. Sound wise, it's pretty decent. Nothing to really gripe about, nothing to write home about. I'd say the only negative real drawback to the sound is they have these audio logs of other test subjects. And one of them was a dog that they put in a spacesuit, which was kind of super messed up in its own way. It kind of reminded me of a YouTube series I like to watch. It's like the dumbest aliens that shouldn't be alive kind of series, in which you have advanced civilizations that can abduct people, and then they choose a dog to solve these problems for them. I mean, how would they not be able to tell that this dog is not going to be able to do that for them? Now, the fun part is actually when they start getting more complicated, having to figure out how to put these things together and stuff like that. They give you a variety of blocks to use to try and figure out how to put these things together, along with some objectives you have to meet in order for it to count. Now, they give you a variety of blocks that you use to figure out how to do that, like the blocks that fuse other blocks together, blank blocks that do nothing except for sit there. In some case, you can use those to build up other blocks so that they can sit in midair. Or you have the conveyor blocks, but it became sort of interesting for me to experiment with all the various blocks in order to get the timing down so that certain situations wouldn't arise when I was putting them together, like the other boxes, pushing the other boxes out of the way, or keeping the conveyor belt boxes from pushing them faster than I wanted them to. And there's a bit of trial and error, and it's a bit of a brain teaser, but I actually found it enjoyable in comparison to a lot of other puzzle-based games that I've played in the past from the Epic Store. Particularly this last mission that I did before it switched over to a different set of puzzles. Turns out the first set is just sort of a kind of a tutorial where it kind of is a rite of passage to see if you can figure out how to get by in order to move on to the next set of boxes that you have to put together, because they get more complicated where they involve sensors and stuff like that. And I stopped at that point because I had other things I needed to do. But the puzzle aspect was actually really, really neat. And I got a lot of enjoyment out of figuring out what configuration of boxes that I can get away with in order to get done what I wanted to get done. Or I should say, in order to meet the objectives. Anyways, I would recommend this one. It is free until tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Central Time. So if you made it this far into the video, thanks for watching. Have a good one.